Forests can be beautiful during the day, but when the sun goes down, they become something else entirely. These are real horror stories from people who went into the woods at night and came out changed. Welcome to Vault 3/3. The forest at night is a place transformed. Shadows stretch and swallow the familiar, turning trees into silent sentinels, and the wind into a wary whisper. That night, deep in the heart of Mount Hood National Forest, the darkness felt thicker than usual, pressing in against the thin walls of our tent. It was just me and two friends, bundled in our sleeping bags, listening to the sounds of the wild, feeling small in the vast wilderness. The crackling campfire had long since faded to embers, and only the distant hoot of an owl marked the passage of time. Sometime after midnight, a subtle unease crept in, a sense that all was not as it should be. Then, at 2 a.m., I was startled awake by the unmistakable sound of crunching leaves. The noise was faint, but deliberate, and far too rhythmic to be a stray deer or the wind. My heart hammered in my chest as I strained to listen, the world outside the tent silent except for those slow, measured steps. My friends shifted in their sleep, unaware, but every instinct told me to stay quiet, to become invisible. Curiosity, or perhaps dread, got the better of me. I unzipped the tent just enough to peer outside, the cold air prickling my skin. In the pale moonlight, I scanned the twisted silhouettes of trees, searching for the source of the sound. That's when I saw him. There was a man, no more than a dark outline, standing up in the branches of a tree. Not behind it, not climbing, but standing perfectly still, like a statue balanced among the limbs. His posture was unnatural, arms at his sides, head tilted just so, blending eerily with the gnarled branches. I blinked, trying to make sense of the scene, questioning if my tired eyes were playing tricks on me. But he was there, unmoving, as if the forest itself had conjured him from shadow and bark. Then, without warning, he leaned forward. It was a slow, impossible motion, as though gravity had no claim on him. In one fluid movement, he vanished into the darkness, swallowed by the night. The forest fell silent again, the footsteps gone, leaving only the pounding of my heart and the chill crawling up my spine. I pulled back into the tent, breathless, unsure if I should wake my friends or let them sleep, spared from the terror I'd witnessed. The hours until dawn stretched endlessly, every sound outside becoming a threat, every shadow a possible return. I lay awake, waiting for the first hint of daylight, counting down the minutes until the forest would feel ordinary again. When the sun finally rose, painting the world gold and green, the fear didn't fully lift. I told my friends what I'd seen, my words sounding hollow in the safety of morning, but the memory was sharp, etched into my mind, the crunch of leaves, the figure in the tree, the way he defied explanation. We didn't linger. We packed up our camp in silence, casting nervous glances at the trees, half expecting to see that figure perched above us once more. As we made our way back to civilization, the forest seemed to watch us go, ancient and secretive. Sometimes, in the comfort of daylight, it's easy to dismiss what we see in the dark. But there are moments, fleeting, unexplainable, when the world reminds us that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, hidden among the whispering trees and the shadows that walk beneath them. And sometimes the only thing to do is leave and never look back. Sometimes, the most ordinary evenings can slip quietly into the realm of the inexplicable. It had seemed so simple at the start. A quick hike before sunset, just a short stroll along the familiar trail behind the neighborhood. The air was cool, the sky painted in the gentle golds and pinks of early evening, and the world felt reassuringly calm. Setting out alone, there was a certain peace to the solitude. Footsteps crunching softly over dried leaves, the gentle chorus of birds settling in for the night, and the rhythmic beating of your own heart. With the sun dipping lower, you moved at an easy pace, letting your thoughts drift. The trail wound its way between clusters of trees, their shadows growing longer with every passing minute. At a small clearing, you paused to sip water, feeling the coolness slide down your throat. Out of habit, you checked your phone. 6:42 p.m. Plenty of time to finish before darkness took hold. You could see the last bits of sunlight filtering through the branches, the world edged with that gentle amber glow that signals the end of the day. And then, nothing. The next memory is stark, abrupt. You are walking back, but now the world is different. The darkness is absolute, the trail barely visible beneath your feet. Your heart thuds with a quiet panic as you realize it is 9:02 p.m., over 2 hours lost, vanished as if they never existed. There is no sense of having fallen, no dizzying tumble, no sharp pain or sudden fright. The path back to the trailhead feels both familiar and alien, lined with the same trees, but now every shape seems menacing, every shadow too deep. The night air is colder, and your shirt is strangely inside out, the seams rough against your skin. You try to recall making that change, but your mind is blank, a stretch of lost time as smooth and featureless as a polished stone. Your phone, once fully charged, is now dead. No comforting glow, no lifeline to the outside world. You clutch it tightly, as if hoping for some explanation to appear on the blank screen. A sense of unease settles in your stomach, prickling along your skin. The silence is heavy, broken only by the sound of your hurried footsteps. You move faster, eager to leave the woods behind, to step back into the safety of streetlights and the distant hum of cars. In the days that follow, the headache lingers, a dull ache that refuses to be explained away by hunger or dehydration. You turn the strange events over and over in your mind, searching for meaning among the fragments. Did you simply lose consciousness? Was it a trick of the mind, fatigue, or something stranger? The memory of those missing hours remains stubbornly out of reach, a gap that resists filling. You remember the odd feeling of your shirt, the dead phone, the pounding ache in your skull, a constellation of details that refuse to settle into a coherent story. There is a subtle shift in your sense of safety, a new wariness that creeps into your thoughts. The trail that once felt so welcoming now seems charged with a silent warning. You find yourself glancing at the woods with suspicion, wondering what happened in that vanished stretch of time. The urge to retrace your steps, to search for answers, wars with the instinct to stay away. In the end, caution wins out. You never go back. The trail behind your neighborhood becomes a place of unanswered questions, a quiet reminder that sometimes the world holds on to its mysteries, and we are left only with the uneasy feeling of not knowing. Searching for a lost dog in the woods at night is a test of patience, hope, and nerves. The world outside the beam of a flashlight becomes a black void, full of unknown shapes and sounds. Every snapping twig or distant rustle makes your heart race. Every shadow seems to move. On this night, the air was thick with worry. The dog, old and beloved, had slipped away during the last walk of the day, drawn by something only he could sense. Now, the trees stood as silent sentinels, their branches reaching out in the darkness, the path ahead vanishing just beyond the reach of my light. The flashlight was my only companion, its steady glow carving a narrow path through the underbrush. The beam bounced with every step, illuminating patches of moss, fallen leaves, and the glint of dew on ferns. I called the dog's name again and again, the sound swallowed by the dense night. My brother was somewhere behind me, his voice sometimes echoing through the trees, but always distant, always just out of sight. Then, without warning, the flashlight sputtered. Once, twice. The light flickered, casting frantic shadows against the trunks, then faded to nothing. I smacked it against my palm, but the darkness was complete, heavy, pressing in from all sides. I stood still, listening. The woods had grown quieter, as if holding their breath. My eyes, desperate for any scrap of light, strained against the black. Suddenly, ahead, a faint blink caught my eye. A small, pale circle of light hovering above the ground. Relief surged through me. I thought it was my brother. Maybe he'd found the dog. I called out, my voice shaky but hopeful. The light blinked again, brighter this time, and I waited for a reply. None came. I took a step forward, branches brushing my arms, the ground soft beneath my boots. But as I moved, so did the light. It floated, drifting smoothly between the trees, not bobbing or bouncing as a flashlight should. I listened hard, expecting to hear footsteps, the crunch of leaves or the snap of a twig. There was nothing, just the soft, steady movement of the beam, gliding through the woods without sound. My mind raced for explanations. Maybe it was a trick of the eyes. Maybe someone else was out searching. Still, something about the way that light moved made the hairs on my neck stand up. I called again, louder this time. The beam paused, hovering in the distance, then blinked out, swallowed by the darkness. The silence felt deeper in its absence. I stood frozen, heart pounding, afraid to move, unsure what I'd seen. Then, from behind me, a familiar yelp. The dog, tail wagging anxiously, burst from the undergrowth. His fur bristled, but his eyes bright with recognition. Relief crashed over me. I hugged him close, whispering thanks into his fur, still shaken by the mystery of that floating light. We made our way back to the truck, the dog close at my side. My brother was waiting, leaning against the hood, his face pale in the faint glow of a phone screen. As I climbed in, he looked at me, confusion and worry etched into every line. "Who were you talking to back there?" he asked quietly. I didn't bring a flashlight. The words landed heavily. The woods behind us were silent, the path we'd walked now invisible in the night. I glanced back, half expecting to see a distant blink, but there was nothing, just the impenetrable darkness and the lingering question of what, or who, had been waiting in those woods with us. If you've ever seen something you can't explain, you're not alone. Subscribe to Vault 314 for more terrifying true stories. And if you have a story of your own, we're listening. Vault313horror@gmail.com. See you in the next nightmare.